Hi everyone, this is Morgan, and we are talking about thermochemistry today. So this is the AP Chem outline called Thermochemistry Lecture, page 1 of 16. Now, I'm going to be awfully upfront with you about this. This is a page of vocabulary, and I realize that vocabulary is not the most exciting thing in the world, okay? But in this chapter, which is chapter 6 in the Chang book, you are really going to depend upon your vocabulary skills to understand things. So I'm pleading with you to really get your act together and know these words, okay? Because it will make a difference. Now, we'll start with one of the very most challenging words in all of science to define, and that is energy. And the problem with trying to define energy is that there are so many different types of energy and sources of it that not one definition is going to work for everything. So, for this chapter, you are perfectly good with saying the ability to do work or produce heat. That'll work great for this chapter. Okay? Now, the next term is one of the easiest to define, matter. And we have sarcastically in the past just said stuff. Well, it's not quite going to cut it anymore for us. We need to go up to the official one. Anything that has mass and takes up space. And it's going to be really important to distinguish between energy and matter for what we're doing in this chapter. Okay? Now, heat. Boy, everyday folks use this word incorrectly all the time. Okay? So I need to get through all of these past wrong things that you have learned to actually get you to understand what heat is. It is an exchange of energy between two objects at different temperatures. Okay, that's going to be challenging. Temperature is not really the definition of heat, okay? We have to keep them separate. Work. Work is a force acting over a distance. Now, in a physics class, we're talking about this pen and pushing it. And we're doing work because it's moving. But in a chemistry class, what we're talking about mostly is a piston. So we have something that's kind of like a syringe, and it has a movable plate in it. And we'll have gas down in here, and we push down on the gas to contract it, or the gas pushes back up, pushes that higher, and the gas has the greater force exerted on that movable part of the piston. Okay? All right. So now, a very clear picture of what we're studying, what we're talking about in any specific homework problem will revolve around us knowing what the system is. The system is what we focus our attention on. And the surroundings are anything that can have an effect on the system. Okay? Now, these of course go hand in hand with each other. Most of the time, for us, the system is going to be a styrofoam cup because it's insulated, and a chemical reaction that happens inside of the styrofoam cup. The air outside the styrofoam cup is part of the surroundings. Now, it might have an effect. It might be colder, it might be hotter than what's in the cup, and heat can move because of that. All right? An open system. That one allows the exchange of matter with the surroundings. Now, the human body is an open system. Stuff comes in, stuff goes out, okay? A can of soda, before you've gone and opened it, would be a closed system because you can't put anything into that can and you can't take anything out of that can without actually opening it, okay? So a closed system can't exchange matter. Now we have to start getting really picky. Heat is an exchange of energy, not an exchange of matter. So I can take a can of Diet Coke and put it in the refrigerator, and it gets really cold. Okay? I have not taken any stuff out of the can. Okay? We've had a transfer of energy because the refrigerator was colder than the can, and heat left the can and went into the refrigerator. All right? Now, if I open the can, then I can pour something out or pour something in. An isothermal system. Let's use our nice SAT skills here. Iso and thermal. Heat stays the same, okay? Or temperature stays the same. Basically, what we say is stays at a constant temperature. Now, the human body is essentially an isothermal system. It works very hard to stay at one constant temperature, about 37 degrees Celsius. Okay? Now, if it gets too hot, we sweat. That releases energy. Okay? Tries to stay the same. An adiabatic system allows no heat flow. Now, the human body is not adiabatic. Heat can flow out and heat can flow in. But a decent example of an adiabatic system is a hydro flask or a thermos, something along those lines. They're not perfect, but they're insulated. That's the idea behind an adiabatic system. Now, of course, an exotherm, something that's exothermic, releases heat. Endothermic absorbs heat. And we're going to do a lot more work with those words as we progress throughout this outline. Okay, that's page number 1. We're going to continue this topic on page number 2, but it's going to be a separate video.